Robbie Minds, live from the Channels TV studio in Lagos, Nigeria, and it's a sunny Sunday afternoon. And if you've been living in Lagos recently, you thank God for the sun. When you see the sun, you praise the Lord. There was a storm during the week, that seemed to have shattered the already shaky perception that Lagos is working. Roofs, cars, death, all kinds of things happened when that storm hit Lagos. It looks like the state was unprepared. It just looks like, the state was unprepared for any kind of... it's amazing. Anyway, but if you survived that in Lagos, I say congratulations. And then, for those who lost things during the flood, our hearts go out to you. Right, it's what happens with us in Nigeria. Somebody who will not be getting a lot of congratulations, I'm not sure, is a young youth ambassador called D'banj. It appears that he fell into the not so hidden trap of SaharaReporters.com. Sahara Reporters, you know what you are going for. There are two sites that if you are going into their lair, so to speak, you go gently into the night. It's SaharaReporters.com, and there's that beautiful, wonderful Omojua.com. You know that if you're going on these things, so the winner of the MTV Awards and all these awards goes there and says, I didn't know it was a political interview. SaharaReporters.com, that's what they do. They do politics. So D'banj was flustered yesterday, and you can see the transcript of that interview on www.ynija.com, and you can see the original video at www.SaharaReporters.com. In more ambivalent news, I'm not sure if it's good or bad. This week we found out that the president had gone borrowing from the people whose hands we thought we had escaped from a little more than a decade ago. You're talking billions of dollars. So, these figures get all mushed up in my head. This week, President Jonathan went to the Senate and asked for permission to borrow to fund infrastructure. So that also happened this week. And of course, going outside the country, yesterday, Whitney Houston took everyone to church. For 4 hours, the whole world was united in the spectacular experience of the black church. It wasn't a funeral, so to speak, for her family. It was a homecoming. And for people who haven't attended church in a while, who are Christians, the message from Marvin Winans was particularly instructive. Especially talking about how we're all essentially flawed, and some of us are just believers behaving badly. And it's when a celebrity dies, you hear so many arguments. Oh, she should have done this better. Oh, her husband killed her. Oh, she lived a reckless life. But at the end of the day, everyone will fall down by the hands of mortality. And as we say goodnight to Whitney Houston, we pray that her family will be able to have strength in this period, and that all of us will learn the lessons from a short but powerfully impactful life. It's still Robbie Minds, live on Channels Television. We are talking some of the great, I was joking with one of the guests. I said, I've been a owl for some shows, but now that we are talking all light and peace and progress and development and no loans and no soldiers, well, I can't particularly say there were no soldiers, because yesterday, those who try to remember, it's just never, you want to go to light and progress in Nigeria, and sometimes it just draws you back, because yesterday peaceful protesters went on the streets of Lagos just to mourn the people who died during the Occupy Nigeria protests, and policemen began to beat them. So you have to ask yourself, is it now an offense to have a peaceful demonstration in democratic Nigeria? Today's show, we need a crowd. The wonders of crowd sourcing and how you can tap into the power of the many to create some lasting change. I have some exciting guests in the house. I like this, people doing stuff. I'll start from my right. It's been almost a decade since I saw you last.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Caitlin Ndogomo.
Yes.
Caitlin is an ideation consultant, but they put project manager here, but
it depends on what you do at certain times. you know.
So you are smack in the middle of both of them.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great to see you.
It's great to see you, Chidi.
You know, Ketli is an opinion leader in so many ways. You know, you just don't, sometimes you just come on, say Twitter, and then you find people talking about something. You begin to trace the origin, and you trace it to the handle at Caitlin.
I'm humbled.
Right. Welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We have somebody I'm very excited to meet. You know, ever since I've heard about the co-creation hub, it just excites me. It's just, some kind of a hub in my head. I just think about it as all the good things that we think that young people are capable of, all the things that signify the future of this country, just it symbolizes, and this week, the latest edition of Y Magazine will be out, and there is a full-on feature on how the co-creation hub came about. We have Bosun Tijani,
thank you,
from the CC Hub, magician himself, along there, all the magicians, amazing work. Great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Right, and we have Seun Onigbinde,
yeah, thanks.
My former friend.
It's been a while. Man.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
but Seun is of budget. Another excellent, these things are just. You just ask yourself, why didn't I think about this before? But of course, that's how all these ideas are. You always think to yourself, well, you will never have thought about it. But Seun and his team have thought about budget. Budget is essentially using technology to make the budget accessible to everyday Nigerians.
Yeah,
welcome on the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. And then we have the Don. Every time every time I see something, I see a link online, I don't understand. Oh, something is happening. And if it has keywords, technology, cash, mobile, acquisition, I send the link to Sheyi Taylor. I say, Sheyi, what does this mean, please? Sheyi is chief thinker at Blue, and general IT guru. Welcome on the show.
Thanks, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, now this topic came about because it started actually from what CC Hub began to do this week with trying to get people. The storm, funny enough, the floods happened in Lagos, I think, and blew off the roof of the army barracks.
Yeah.
In
the highway patrol.
In Yaba,
just
which
behind
is
CC Hub.
Just by CC Hub. And CC Hub thought, okay, how can we get people involved in solving this particular problem? And we thought, it's amazing because that's the power of the new trend of crowdsourcing. And then just as we finalized the topic on Friday, there's a handle on Twitter called Giddy Traffic, which is a lifesaver for all kinds of people. And people began to, and you could see the passion people felt for the handle because everybody was trying to nominate the handle for this award, the Shorty Award, and everybody was giving testimonies, about, and we thought, and it won. Yeah, he, she, them.
Congratulations.
It's one. It's amazing. But tell us about this. Before we go into the intricacies, what you're doing with the highway patrol, and how far it has come, and how did the idea come about?
Okay, interestingly, the idea came from a member of the team, Mr. Tunji Elesho. On Monday, we got to the hub and discovered the damage that was done to CC Hub by the storm. But luckily, we're covered. We have insurance covered for the hub, and immediately we started fixing the hub. But in between, we went to the rooftop of the building, and we saw the barracks behind us, which was severely damaged. And we thought, while we're fixing our own part of this community, it's clear that there's probably no budget in place for such an emergency for that barracks. And looking at the barracks from top of that building, you could actually tell that there's over 50 families living in there in very difficult condition with the roof off. And the focus was that there will be another rain for the whole week. So we thought, what can we do? CCL is set out to basically look for innovative ways to address problems in the society, even though we have a strong focus on technology. So we thought technology is what we know. How can we use technology to help these people solve the problem? So the idea came that can we get the government to be aware that this is there? Well, we thought, the bureaucracy in the process of getting government to fix that roof will probably take a week. So we thought, there's an interesting concept around what we do, which is using the power of crowd. We've been doing that, but mainly around the talents that people can bring around challenges and social problems. But we thought, why don't we use the same methodology around crowdfunding, get people to donate so that we can fix that roof in a day or two. And guys said, wow, that's a good idea. So typically what we do in the hub is if there's a new idea, we go into the hub, we share with the community members. People bought into it, and the software developers started building a website. And I said, okay, hold on, guys. We need to go to the barracks to be sure that these guys, that we can actually fix this roof, legally. And we got
legally.
yeah, because there are aspects to these things that you need to check as well. So we got there, and the officer in charge said it's possible, and they did a letter to CCO, and we went live in 4 hours. So right now the target was to raise 800,000. I think we were at about 325 or so.
In less than a week.
In 3 days actually. And this morning the zinc and the wood that will be used for the roof was delivered to the site. Work is ongoing, and we actually believe that before the end of the day, a good portion of the roof will be covered.
Wow. Just got to me, I was shivering. I remember Chris Matthews, American TV presenter, when Obama finished giving his speech, and he said he felt a tingle in his legs. Also, just amazing. Last week, one of my mentors, Dr. Ruben Abati, called the internet the scourge,
Yes.
of this age, which I thought was striking. But that is, the power of having a concentration of people, especially those who are change-minded, so to speak. What does that say to you?
I think it's one of the most important and one of the most fundamental ways of actually addressing current problems that we have in our societies. You know how we complain a lot about what we don't know, what we're not sensitized about, and how we can get involved. And we also sit around and say, we can't wait for the government. Sometimes we say, why is the government not doing this? Interestingly, I was taught when I was growing up that it's easier to get 5,000 naira from 5,000 people than getting 5,000 naira from just one person. And that's what crowdsourcing is all about. It's essentially, if you know the concept of outsourcing, where a company or an individual decides to give a specific task to a specific person because they have that credibility and that credence to do it. Now we're going out of outsourcing to crowdsourcing, essentially where the crowd is the solution provider, and where whatever is being crowdsourced is the problem. So you have a problem being sent to a problem solver who is the crowd, and that is how I came. The way I came or I come in with the Co-Creation Hub is that we had an idea. What they do is they incubate ideas and actually give the resources and a place for these ideas to grow, to be grown, to be nurtured, and to become successful, and to do something for the community. It's about what you do socially for your community.
Right.
And that is how we came up with Residence Report when they did the first edition of Tech In, which is a series that essentially gathers innovators and creative people to use technology to find socially sensible ideas that will help the community. And the Residence Report came first in Tech in Governance, that was concentrated towards governance problems. And from there on, we've been working to get the platform up. And I would probably share what Residence Report is all about.
Please.
Residence Report is just simply, you know how you drive in your car and you see a pothole, you drive in your car and unfortunately you see dead bodies everywhere, and you think to yourself, well, there's no aggregated platform in Nigeria where people can report non-emergency issues. We know the emergency line for the fire services. We know the emergency line for the police. We do not know where to report non-emergency issues. You watch TV and you see 10,000 numbers for 10,000 different things, and you're thinking, who am I going to call for what? So Residence Report thought about aggregating every single non-emergency issue complaint into one platform and working with the service provider that will solve it. So you see a problem, a non-emergency problem, you see a pothole in your street, and you take a picture. That's where the technology comes in, and you report it on the platform, and then the platform, which has before then liaised with maybe the council or the Ministry of Works or whatever, then reports the problem and we get it fixed. So we're doing something for the community, and we're crowdsourcing the people, because we can have 1 million people in 1 million different places reporting 1 million different things to one aggregated platform, and then the back end solves it. That's just very simply the power of pulling people. It's a push-pull.
So again, just to point out there, I think you may want to look at that and say, is this all about trying to get government to fix things? Or trying to witch hunt the government? It's really not the case. What you tend to find on a platform like that is when people report these issues, there's a chance that the government will fix it on time. Because if they don't, the problem would actually degenerate. Then it will cost more public funds to fix them at the end of the day. So it may take a while. Some of these ideas, you look at them and say, are we ready as a society for things like this? It may take a while. But what you begin to see is that we are in the process of preparing ourselves as people to begin to apply more method to the way we do things, as against just believing that things can be left the way they are. Yeah. We have issues that have been there since most of us were probably 5 years old, and they're still there today. And you begin to ask the question, it's known that Nigerians are meant to be smart people. Why can't we solve this problem? We're probably used to saying the government should. But it's clear that traditional approaches are not solving our issues. So we need to look at how can we pull our collective intelligence together and begin to create solutions. And not just create solutions, and how can we become makers as well? Because any economy that is not making is going nowhere. You're at the mercy of the guys who are creating solutions to your problems. And Nigeria, we know, is one of the countries with very peculiar situations. So you need to understand the context to be able to provide solutions to things. And most of these solutions, when imported, are not able to solve the problems, I'm afraid. So that's why you see that most of these things are still there. And we need to begin to create that system.
So it's homegrown crowdsourcing.
Exactly. Homegrown solutions, yeah.
Amazing. These guys are so smart.
The budget guys they're just because this is about transparency. Look, I now know what the budget is and where every kobo is supposed to go. So I mean, they're doing a fantastic job.
Budget is besides September 13, 2012. So we can say we're 5 months old. And, you just get in there quietly.
September 2011. So you're 5 months old. It looked like, because the issues that came out from Occupy Nigeria, it just looked like, budgets time had, like this was the time. Because there are people looking for information, trying to, especially those who are trying to go through the hysteria, when you have 100 million naira for food, and people are trying to get the facts and the figures. And then here is budgets, who it looked like it was already many years ahead of its time. So how was, what did that say to you? Did that say to you that, we're on the right track, with what budget? Maybe you should first explain what budget is, so that in case you're having 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds watching, they can understand what's going on.
Budget is an idea that came up by the Tech and Governance. It's like crowdsourcing platform that brought up by co-creation of drop ideas that could help governance. And I've worked since I left government engineer. I work in the financial industry and I work in maybe the strategy and the economic angle with the bank. And I've always had this idea about budget, and I always try to learn. But I feel the knowledge is just queued in within a small set. Most people don't know. And this is a very important document for everybody to know. Everybody should know how government plans to spend money. If you find out that the road to your house is not third, you might be wondering, you might be whining, but the fact of the matter is not in the budget. So definitely, it's never going to be done. And once the budget is signed, it's a legal document that government is bound to act within that space. So if it goes beyond the lines of the budget, you have to go and seek additional approval. And I'm sure the government will not go and seek additional approval for the single road in your house. So it becomes people have to understand how critical that document is. And what I have to find out, most people are not versed in accounting. Most people are not versed even in public expenditure. So how do you get it? So it's about making it more simple, chopping off the what I would call the nuanced parts, chopping off the complex parts, and trying to bring where the essence that concerns the citizen. So it's about looking for that platform where we can use it, make it interactive, we can make it graphical, we can put it in 140 characters, so people can quickly relate to it. Okay, this is the budget, and people can, in the process, you trigger discussions because people become more inquisitive. You said this figure is, how come this figure is right? How come this figure? And you told me, the custom says they have 1.3 trillion in revenue, and someone says, how come the federal government still budgets like 300 billion for as I said, see, the fact that they collect 1 trillion, but they have an expenditure of close to 700 billion. So it's like 20 or 30% that comes back to the federal government. So it's about you trying to lock in that knowledge value and giving it to the mass of people. And what we found out is during the Occupy Nigeria, there was this quick, people were really, really surprised at figures like 1 billion naira. president, the State House, I don't like saying the president because I want to be fair. The State House budgets $1 billion for feeding, almost $1 billion this year. And people says, oh, that means this morning the president had eaten a 3 million naira breakfast
every day with Gucci rice.
And it's like six. There's someone will also wake me up on my tea like, oh, the president has eaten a 2 million this year already. And it becomes an ownership thing. People begin to own the budget. People begin to find out how the Ministry of Agri wants to buy a computer software of 300 million naira. And people say, why? What are you buying? Are you doing SAP? Are you running SAP around on the farm? People begin to. It triggers a discussion. There was a day we did a small tweet meeting and we asked, what's $1 billion naira to you? And someone told me, if I count from 1 to $1 billion, I might not finish it in 10 years. I cannot finish. And so it becomes like people begin to see the impact of values. And the next movement is, how do you not take it from the data to the action? And that's where you have people like resident. But I think the first point is knowledge. When you're coming from a position of knowledge, your argument becomes more quantitative, it becomes more respected, and so that's what budgets want to do. So you look at every literacy span, those that have it gets to a point that those that don't even have access to internet, those that even do SMS have to get understand. It gets to a point that those that even have the mobile phones have to understand the budget. You have to look for the school around your area, you look at the road around your area, and find out that this thing is in the budget. It's not done. Who should I ask questions? Who should I talk to? That's the point there.
Absolutely amazing. But just so what budget does is budget is multi-platform. There's the web. What are the major tools that budget uses to do what it does?
Yeah, it's the web and the mobile first for now, and the Edge or eGPRS or 3G enabled phones can easily the problem. There was a time we did the Occupy Nigeria, we did the budget cut app. And people were saying so much waste in government.
That helped you. How can you
call the budget? Look at the budget. You see the personnel and the overheads over 40% of the budget, and so many of my discretionary items are taking almost like 30% again. Consolidated revenue fund, service charges, and things like that. And people begin to ask questions. Then why should they have a Ministry of Niger Delta, an NDDC, and you should even
an amnesty program?
And so many are you sure there is no overlap in this place? Why should you have a Federal Character Commission? Are we not one Nigeria? No, these are not my questions.
These are the crowds.
This is the crowd.
I've had a very, very funny question like, can you tell me where neighbor to neighbor initiative is in the budget? I say, I'm sorry, I don't see it becomes I can't believe people don't really know. People don't know. This is not a federal government project. This is a CSO, as I found it to be. And so it becomes people really want to know more. And so people say, okay, this is the budget in a small graphical form. Try and cut the budget. We put the budget on the side and we put it up there. And you find that we have done our analytics. The first place people start cutting from is the presidency. Everybody wants to quickly cut the presidency. You might not really know the implications of what you're doing. But it's not about you.
I want to cut you short because we need to take a break soon. But when I come back, that's something I wanted to ask. Because this week you did something, I think, about the Ogun State budget. That I thought was very interesting. Because everybody always focuses on, His Excellency, Dr. Ebele. Jonathan. But I remember that. I think you're the first person that really explained what the CC Hall was about to me. Because one day I was reading and I said, this thing just sounds like all we have been saying for so many years.
Yes.
Please explain it to me. I know people always talk these days of the Twitter mob, the online mob, the scourge of our time.
Yeah.
So, what does this mean? So, this shows you all that is good about the crowd. What does this? What would you say is its major significance?
So fantastic. So, because crowdsourcing, if we want to be very honest, is something that we have been operating with for a bit. All right, what the internet has done, what mobile technology have done, is just to scale it up. All right, and just make it more prominent. When you take a picture and you upload it and you say, well, this is something I saw, an accident, a burning building or something, that's crowdsourcing. You're reporting the news. So that's why you have, all the iReport and all of that, which the news organizations have tried to formalize. All right, but that's basically what we've been doing for a while. And what you're seeing is, what we've been doing is, we're seeing different aspects of it. So both people telling their stories and sharing to the world, or people using just like budget to get knowledge to the crowd, all right, and people also taking action, all right, which is basically what happened. So what definitely, there's some things I'd definitely like to talk about after the break, but there are quite a few different future applications. For example, the Obama campaign used crowdsourcing to raise their initial funds. All right, and that was pretty revolutionary, and also used crowdsourcing in way the neighbor-to-neighbor program was similarly supposed to work to actually get a mobilization So basically, if I support a candidate, there is a formalized system by which I can reach my friends. All right, and basically, I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more than that. And of course, it's crowdsourcing in business, which it's a whole different, what's the name. Amazon to be using with the Mechanical Turk. There's a company called 99 Designs. They basically have crowdsourced graphic design services. So you basically have 1,000 graphic designers at your whoever wins the competition. So basically, what I think the only major thing or the major difference that we're seeing is how the internet has just helped scale up what something that used to be done on a small scale,
more accessible.
That's it.
Shay, we're talking about so what this has done is that technology has made it more accessible, and perhaps more impactful.
But yeah, definitely more impactful. And I think one of the reasons why it's simply more impactful is just by virtue of the numbers that technology can reach, and also the publicity that it can gain, definitely. Some people have over time done interesting things like, say, raise money at the end of the year for orphanages and what's name. But I think it will be very difficult for them to raise 400,000, 300,000 naira in 3 days from, But technology just basically made it possible. So between Twitter and what's name. I was talking about business,
yes,
but I think that's basically, and I think it definitely has a special place in Nigeria if we can actually create what's name. So there was an idea at one of these startup competitions, but I mean the team didn't carry through. But it was a brilliant idea. It was basically allowing anybody to become a call center consultant. All right.
Okay.
So basically, what you needed was an internet connected phone. All right, and they basically have like the central software. So if I, a small business, wanted to have like my own call center, all I had to go register with them, create like a set of training slides, and then anybody could just go up there, study the slides, to take like a test, and then start up as a call center consultant in their house, in their home, whatever it was.
Right.
And then I would pay the person based on I didn't have to actually go and set up all the infrastructure. We have one person doing call center or 20 people doing call centers. And I think it's a brilliant idea. It definitely would have helped with, employment and so on and so forth. There are lots of places where, crowdsourcing has been used. Basically saying, look, all right, why do I, as a small business, have to hire one person to do a job? Why can't I just throw this thing open to 1,000, 10,000, 30,000 people? And anyone who thinks they have the solution can do the job and on a project-to-project basis. It's basically allowing people to scale. And I think that's definitely something I hope that we'll start seeing more of, apart from the social projects that we're seeing. I also think that within the next, maybe not 2015, but definitely by 2019, we'll definitely see the power of crowds being employed in elections, all right, where candidates, small, quote-unquote, small candidates will definitely see, look, is it possible for me to use the internet as a platform to raise money for my, to raise awareness about my own issues? So you have lots of people right now who on Twitter who are just there becoming, gathering popularity. One day will say, look, I want to run. I don't have $1 million. I don't want to go to a godfather. All right. What I want is if I can get 20,000 people who believe and put 10,000 naira down, and then let's see what. And I think we're definitely going to see. I don't know how much success they're going to have, but I know we're going to see
that trend.
We're definitely going to see that trend.
Right. But Boston, so you've had. I mean, today I know that today you are having the tech in
education.
In education, the whole process, and that everybody knows about it.
Yes.
Well, for the final one, which where the different ventures are being will be presented to the public. So
a lot of your work is actually getting people with the most outcome-oriented ideas. So it's constantly interactive with as many people as you can reach.
Yeah.
How? I mean, now it's easy. I mean, now there's also another hub, the Innovation Hub. And there's the Variant Hub and all of that. So there's a lot of this whole. I mean, it's not that people didn't know, but there's a lot of that sensitivity now. How did that idea come to you and to your team?
All right. I think the whole talk around the crowdsourcing and why people are still in doubt as to whether it works is we tend to sort of generalize on its potentials and power. Which is when, if you're a practitioner, it begins to move towards collective intelligence as against crowdsourcing. So there are things in which you can do with the crowd without putting in too much effort. But when you begin to move into business, the driver for crowdsourcing is actually the fact that organizations, especially in the West, where research and development is core to what they do, realize that it's impossible to hire the best people in the world. So and for them to be to begin to innovate, which was in line with the open innovation thinking, where you say, we don't need to have everything within our organization. We can look outward, look for someone with the expertise, work with them, but of course use the value they create to improve what we do. So for myself and my partner, who is Femi Longe, that was actually the basis. So I worked in Europe. The last job I did in Europe, which was for about 4 or 5 years, was focusing on supporting university professors on how to commercialize research results. And and I also managed a project for the European Commission, which was looking at, how do you begin to build the textile industry in Europe. We all know the story behind the textile industry, where with the emergence of China, the sector crumbled simply. And they begin to think, how can we help the companies within this space to get back? So they started moving towards intelligence textile. So while I was doing that, what I saw was clearly that in the developed world, a problem in the society is an opportunity for someone to go back into the laboratory to create solution. While if you look at our society, we have issues that are so small and they've been there for ages and no one is going to pay attention to managing them. And I also saw that the guys who are actually solving these problems are not in any way related to government. And they don't wait for the government to help them to get things done. So I started thinking, we in Nigeria that we're full of issues, we have problems. Sorry to say, our universities are not doing enough research to solve problems. But then we're
there are people that will argue with words like enough. They say, well, how about any?
I'm just being polite.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And we're known to have smart people, and these smart people are all over the world doing great things. So I started talking to my friend, who is also my partner now, Femi Longe, and luckily for us, Femi was also working for the foremost social innovation foundation in London, then Young Foundation. And we started thinking, can we build a model around this where we begin to encourage people with creative ideas and talent, and then pool resources around them such that they can have that opportunity to actually experiment. We're not even talking about them getting to market yet. Get the opportunity to try your hand on that idea that you have. Get the resources to take it from being just ordinary idea to getting it to the market. And we thought it's not new, even in Nigeria. Let's be sincere. But I think what's new with it is most of the time when you see people with ideas in Nigeria, the normal thing you hear from them is there's no support structure. I remember when I was young, we heard stories of some people building helicopters and all sorts, but they couldn't move it forward. And we thought what we are going to build is that organization which is an enabler. That organization whose work will be to pull resources together and push these guys forward. And for me, it's actually interesting that Budget is here, Kaplan is here. I don't think you guys invited them because you need.
No, it was when you got here that I remembered that Resident Report was connected to the CC Hub.
And Budget as well.
And Budget,
You know what? It's a great thing for us because, like Bosun says, when you do not have the structure and you do not have the medium to actually let me put it in a way that is very easy to express. That creativity that is already there, those ideations, that are coming from the grassroots, really, then it dies a natural death, to be honest. Because when you look around Africa, and it's not just a Nigerian thing, you look around the whole of Africa, it's beginning to be a movement of young people or people, using that medium of technology to then, pull together and say, let's create something and solve the problems that we're seeing. In Kenya, we saw the rise of Ushahidi. I mean, it was just on the base of a problem. There was a problem post-elections, and they really, really had to do something. And these young people, we know where Ushahidi is today. In Cameroon, there's a group of young people who have created an education and a university, the varsity kind of mechanism where young people who are in university can actually meet with their professors easier, get their lessons easier, and it's called Pulse. And these guys are, you see, the good thing about crowdsourcing, it doesn't matter where you are. There's a team in the US, there's a team in Cameroon, there's a team somewhere else, and they're doing very well. In Ghana, hubs are being created, and there's one in Ethiopia that has just come out. You have CC Hub here, and it's very interesting to think that 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, what is going to come out.
And just to add to that, note that when you talk crowdsourcing from a collective intelligence. I would like to always point out that it's not just this guy is creating this stuff. What you also need to think of is a banker. How is he able to build a website and a platform that allows people to do what they do? This guy is working with a whole lot of other young people within this community with different skills and expertise that would help him get out there. And that's the power of crowdsourcing. So he's not paying a huge IT company to do the development for him. He's actually using the intelligence of people within our community, and that's where we're coming from. You know, take it away. Don't take it away from them or take it away from them, whichever one. I expect that there will be a lot of people that will tell you or say it that some of the things we're doing here are just youthful exuberance, guys who are just
of course.
But one thing we know is people said that about Shahidi, you know, but they're where they are today. They're probably one of the top technology companies out of Africa. You know, we know some of these ideas will fail. Some of them will be successful, and we're very sure of that. And budget is a good example of that. In 6 months, you know, people now know who will talk about how much the president is feeding on 2 years ago. And, you know, people don't have that kind of conversation. But it's changing.
Absolutely.
Like Boston said, like during the Occupy Nigeria movement, and there was this need to build this budget app, the budget cut app. Basically, I said myself, I was just planning to just go back and relax, you know. Keep going the thread on Twitter, keep providing information.
I'll leave this people in a jota.
Possibly also. There's a guy in about the show, and I said, okay, I would possibly join Sean, we'll just go and do it. But first,
with Sean, the one who is Sheko Fax, he's also trying to do something amazing called 20 million. 20 million. You know. I mean, like you said, some things will go, but I mean, the basic idea of it is
still there. And so we just got the call and said, okay, let's build a budget called app and let's do this. Support from enough Nigerian corporation. And before we knew it, we just put calls around technology guys, and people look like paid $1,000, $1 million, you know, to get this thing to build a platform, and you just can't talk to them because they understand the power of the community, and there's that consciousness in them that they really want to solve a problem, right? Not because of there's a money aspect to it, because they know budget is making millions, because we know we're all focused on the social innovation going. And the next thing they say, okay, let's build a platform, and even though the movement was restricted, we just actually getting around and get the budget to get the thing right, and so it shows that people were beyond the face of the person doing it. Already the key guy. There's a lot of people that are attached to it. So someone that's managing the platform, someone that is even tweeting, someone that's even doing this, and everybody just want to support because the end goal is because people want to see better governance. People want to see transparency. We're part of one open spending group in UK. We're trying to track budgets globally, and people everywhere globally, even it's not in Nigeria alone. Believe when you hold back information in the system, you're trying to just enable corruption, and definitely because if it's more open, if it's more understood, if information flows freely from every hand, definitely you will always put a check on what you want to do. Right. Yeah, definitely. And so you look at the fallout, like the Minister of Finance, coordinating Minister of Economy, then before with the accreditation, and she said 100 billion naira is going to be cut from this budget. It might look small, but constant agitations like that become like a conversation everywhere, offline, online. See, the budget needs to be cut from overhead to the service head to this, and this one of these things are now bringing up actions somehow. And I say, okay, let's cut it by 100. Some people still say it's too small, but this we're getting a pattern. If we can get it more open, and that's why we say, okay, it looks like we've always picked at the federal.
Yes.
And also, and federal doesn't get everything in this country. Some states I can tell you, states are well positioned. If you look at the bloated structure of the federal, and then even the federal, they can even handle more projects than the federal government. I'm serious. Some states in the south can do more. And so it's okay. Let's look at the states also, and we start with Ogun State this week, and we look at the whole budget and say, okay, this is possibly very soon we'll be mapping it. We're looking at a project.
How easy is it to get the budgets for the states?
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing.
I would assume.
This
guy gets away with blue more than the state.
It's a very difficult. It's not even a very difficult getting a budget. It's a very budget, getting a budget that makes sense to you. And that's what I can't come and tell you, the personnel cost for Lagos State is 45 billion. It doesn't do you anything. But I should be able to tell you the road to your house is 10 billion naira, and you're waiting for the Fashola will make that do for work for you. And so that's everybody wants to know what's the capital project and project.
There's also it's the thing point is making, about the collective intelligence.
I think something he mentioned there that I would like to highlight again is he was talking about this budget app, which how many thousand people use within a short
in like 2 weeks we had like close to 4,000 people using.
The interesting thing I would like to highlight
the cut budget
is that the idea for that hub came from a separate entity.
Yeah.
We got an email from Yemi Adamoleku.
Because yes, we are going to. Yes.
So it comes to tell you the power of collective intelligence. So Yemi's good idea. Okay, we can't implement it immediately, but there's an excellent organization over there that can do it. I'll suggest it to them. They'll pull their resources together, get it done, and it was out there. So that's when people start complaining about whether this is a methodology in terms of crowdsourcing, whether it's a methodology that we can use to solve our problems. I think there are early proves that we're moving in a direction where we can begin to say.
You're talking about Yemi Adamoleku, who's the executive director of Enough is Enough Nigeria. I remember that that's how Revoda, which came on the model of Shahidi came about. I after Enough is Enough was formed, during elections were coming, we thought, okay, what's the best way that we can channel resources? So I remember that there was a story that Y Magazine did for the RSVP issue, tracing the story of Revoda. Basically what it did is he got all these smart techie people, Emeka Okoye, all these crazy people, put them together in one room, and say, look guys, we need to come out with something.
That's collective intelligence.
That's collective intelligence
from the crowd.
From the crowd.
And like the guys in CCO that built the budget collab were like 6. Most of them really nobody knows them, but it's just been like they just believe in the project without a single penny. I just bought them lunch.
This is what I was going to say, that people begin to work pro bono. You see that even in business, you see that it cuts costs and overheads and things like that when you spread out the idea and you decentralize everything. Because even at CC Hub, I think it's CC Hub's day. Actually,
no, it can be CC Hub's day.
A fantastic idea came out, Wayopedia, about how can we collectively begin
just to point out. So that idea again came out from the executive director of Tony Elumelu Foundation. So we had a chat with him, and he said Nigerian is known
Tony Weber,
and he said Nigerians are known for 419 scam. What can we do to build a repository? And
of course, Wayopedia was born, and it took guys, less than 48 hours to build the app, to come up with the website and everything, and it's being used, and ideas are being, of course, the crowd is putting in ideas and everything is going in there, and before you know it, Wayopedia will probably collect intelligence and co-create with probably the guys who are doing 419 Nigeria Positive.org, and then you begin to see things that are moving in a direction that we can be very proud of.
About business. I remember that when the Occupy Nigeria began, all of us read the Red Office had to close down, because of course we're at the Ojota Mega Jam, and I was working closely with my team with the editors at Y Nigeria. They said, look, okay, so how are we going to get reporters? We don't have money, we can't fight this before. Somebody said, let us get correspondents on all these things. I said, well, you are not paying them. Why would anybody be corresponding for you? So we qualify, and we have a correspondent in all the states save one. And during the elections, we used to get updates. I began to panic, because you try to do the whole traditional means of confirming the news. And then those times when you try to do that, you miss the news, because while you are trying to confirm, you don't know the state you're responding. But it was such an amazing. It showed me the power, because it was at no cost. People were working towards a common purpose. It showed me I think I won't actually, but are there downsides?
Oh yes, there are definitely downsides. So for example, in the simple matter of the news, for example, so one bad egg. All right, it destroys everything. So you have somebody just saying somebody's dead who is not dead.
So many people.
Or there's an accident where there's no accident, or there's traffic where there's no traffic, and that's an issue. So basically, in terms, especially whenever anything has to do with verification, or it's a bit more difficult to verify. Sometimes there are some complaints. Sometimes, this is what's name about quality control and. How much can you actually determine? How can you actually say? You have your own stuff, and you say things like, look, all right, you got to take this job back. This is not. This quality is not good enough. But you can't really do that with the crowd. So you have to take. So I have somebody who uses crowdsourcing, for example, to develop web projects, who comes and says, I'll run a competition and give a prize. But the thing is that he has to clean up the work when it's done, because whatever he gets. That's it.
Which is, I think that's the point at which the collective intelligence now becomes that forms the critical mass.
Yeah, definitely. So, but what I think is that no matter what the challenges are, they can be mitigated. All right. So you have like a core team. All right, that is committed to quality, committed to the vision, committed to the ideals of the project, you could definitely find them doing fine tweaks and then so on and so forth. And then usually, even in terms of crowdsourcing news or crowdsourcing information, the positive do outweigh the negatives, definitely. Yeah, so because you get things faster, you get different perspectives, you get. I mean, look at what happened in Libya, Syria. Anytime when reporters can't get into a zone, all right, it eventually ends up the people on the ground who provide the footage that we see, and that's pure crowdsourcing in action. You had Occupy Nigeria, you had one CNN reporter in one place, but you had pictures from all over the
that's what the CNN report, the former CNN reporter Christian Purefoy learned, that led to the creation of Batterbox, which is really getting videos
from
the crowd. But now before they all get frenzied in the background and saying 1 minute to go, 5 minutes to go. I think that for a 5-month-old program, being that I know how it is to get numbers, I always tell people that to get one follower on Twitter, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses. And I don't mean that in a negative way. You are going to preach the gospel. So within 5 months, budget has over 2,000 followers. 3,000 now. Okay, I should pay more attention. But I do not see. There's no reason why there shouldn't be more people, because we all make noise about the budget, and there's no reason why there shouldn't be more people on that site